Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremías Salazar, and I am a Mixteco from Ñuù Sàvi. That's how we identify ourselves in our language. Yeah, so before we start, I just want to acknowledge that we are on the Chumash people land, and I just want to acknowledge that because it is very important that we know that we live and work here on the Chumash people land, and I just want to acknowledge that. Also, I want to share, thank all the community members that have been part of the Ñuù Sàvi or San Sàvi that I've been working with Guillem and other students from UCSB. Also, all the students that were part of the field methods class on 2019 and 2020. You can see all the names here. And also, I wanted to, with that, include one of the language consultant, Griselda Reyes, too, that was part of the class. And also, MyCop, which is a Mixteco Indígena Community Organizing Project. So I just wanted to share this quote. I don't know if you guys have read this before. It's from José Martí. It says, "Nuestro vino es agrio, pero es nuestro vino." So the reason I wanted to share this is that as a Mixteco speaker, a lot of people say, "Hey, so are you from Oaxaca? Do you speak a dialect?" Most of the time, or when people say, "Oh, I speak an indigenous language," it's people call it a dialect, kind of like making it like less important than other languages such as Spanish or English. So when I read this quote, it kind of made me think like, oh, well, if I speak a dialect, and it's not a language, I don't care about that, but I want to feel proud of my language, and I want to continue passing it on to the younger generation. So. And if you guys get a chance to read José Martí, he's a really good writer from Cuba too. So yeah. So Takugani, Mera Nani, Jeremías Salazar, Ñuù Yuku Nani, Ñuù Snubiko. So I just said my name is Jeremías. Good morning in my language. San Sàvi, which is Mixteco or Mixtec. I moved here, well, not in Santa Barbara, but in Santa Maria in 1993 with my parents. I didn't speak any Spanish or English. I just knew a few words in Spanish. But when I arrived here, I had a pretty cool experience, I should say, that I started learning about languages, and that's how I kind of started wondering about my language. Back home, some people speak Spanish. Some people that have been migrated, like other parts of Mexico, like Veracruz, Sinaloa, or Baja California, that sometimes will be out of the town like a year or two, and they learn Spanish. So my mom knew a little bit of Spanish, but she never taught us because the town was so small, so we didn't have anybody to communicate in Spanish. Yeah, so after moving in Santa Maria, that's when I started facing racism and discrimination from being an indigenous. Back home, we will sing like the Mexico national anthem every day without knowing what was the meaning, or not understanding the words. So I grew up believing kind of like, oh well, I'm just Mexican, not knowing my identity or my indigenous roots. But after I moved here, I experienced that discrimination. So that kind of like made me wonder or be curious about why do I speak Mixteco, or why do I speak an indigenous language. And after that, that made that choice to kind of like feel proud of the language and continue speaking the language. And with my parents, I always speak Mixteco. It doesn't matter where I am. I try to always speak Mixteco with them. And after, when I moved here, I started I think it was like 5th grade with my brother. We started in the same grade because we didn't know any Spanish. We were placed in the same grade. So after we finished high school, my brother got to go to Berkeley, and I went to a community college in Santa Maria. And I think after a year or two, he started being a language consultant in one of the classes in Berkeley. And every time he would visit back in Santa Maria, he started telling me all this cool stuff about Mixteco. So I'm like, wow, that's nice. I want to learn more about Mixteco. So after I transferred to San Jose State, I went to the linguistics department. I asked them, hey, do you guys want to work with someone that speaks an indigenous language? I speak Mixteco, and I just want to learn more about my language. So yeah, that's when I started getting into Mixteco, learning more about it. So Mixteco or Ñuù Sàvi is spoken in a little village called Yucunani in San Juan Mixtepec, the municipality of San Juan Mixtepec, which is in Oaxaca, Mexico. There's about 81 speakers, about 520,000 speakers of Mixtec language in Mexico. And mainly the 3 biggest roots would be in Guerrero and in Puebla and in Oaxaca. Within that, there's very different variants, but it's still Mixteco. We don't know how many in California, but possibly the tens of thousands of people that speaks Mixteco. About 30 speakers of Ñuù Sàvi, Yucunani in the diaspora. So why am I a language activist? I started getting involved because I thought that it was important for people that didn't have the opportunity to go to school. When I moved here, one of my brother who was like 15, he didn't have the chance to go to school because he was old enough to go to get a job. So he wanted to go to school, but didn't get the opportunity. So I'm like, I want to do something that other people that wants to get educated but can't read Spanish or English, and can read Mixteco or at least listen to some stories or some articles or just any thing that can be orally shared. Also, to improve the well-being of the community, we were working with Mixteco when the pandemic started, so it was a good opportunity to also get involved with translating certain health stuff. So we did work a little bit on the COVID. I'm going to share that in a moment. Listening to the stories, stories, poems, and in my own language, it also makes me feel like being home. Sometimes when I drive, I listen to some music that is in Mixteco, and or listening to stories, and it makes me feel connected at home. So that's another way that I wanted to continue passing those on. Documenting and traditional stories of my community. For example, here you can see the story that's called Lo Chitzin Dicundu El Sopilote y El Flojo. It's very common in America with other indigenous communities, which I didn't know. When I started working, I thought it was kind of fun about. It's kind of funny about talking about the lazy man and the vulture. It has a pretty cool anecdote, so I thought it would be nice to share that. Why do some people maintain their language, and why do others choose to just ignore it? A lot of people face a lot of hardship and discrimination, so a lot of people just ignore it, doesn't really care to pass it on to their kids. They don't want them to go through racism or having that awkward experience. For some like me, I thought that it was a good way to fight, kind of back. It was maintaining the language and learning about the language and sharing that with people that wanted to learn more about it. Um, so all this discrimination kind of helped me kind of like wonder more about my language and why people classify it as a dialect, or others that have studied are very interested about it. And when I started learning about it, and I thought it was like really interesting, knowing that it's a tonal language and it has all these different structure. So in 2019, I got the opportunity to work with the field methods class. Here you can see the picture of all the students. You can see Guillem and all other students that were part of the class. We started like translating basic words. Here you can see number 21. It was number 1, and we started doing probably like 10, 15 words a day. We started just identifying them, the sounds, the tones, and on the picture on the here on the table here, you can see that there's different groups. So we separated the words with different tones. So we have low tones, mid tones, high tones, falling and rising tones. So we were able to separate them in groups, and that kind of helped us understand better the nature of the language. Also, working as a team with Guillem and Alonso, we were able to publish an article. Here you can see it's aging, hierarchy, and segmental erosion, allomorphy dependent pronoun in Ñuù Sàvi, Yukunani. So we were able to publish this paper. So if you want to read more about it, you can go to Gacho Space, and it's available there. You can see a picture of us meeting through Zoom. After the pandemic, we had to do it through Zoom. So after collecting all the materials, we thought it would be a good idea to share with the community. That was the whole idea, to share things that we can, that we were working. Here on the left-hand side, you can see, you can see this on the left-hand side. You can see it says "Kuminta'a," like for hands, which it's a little book that for kids. You have it in Spanish, in English, and in Mixteco. So like kids that wanted to learn Mixteco can learn how to write it, do the tones, and just start with something basic. In the middle, you have a picture of like a family tree. You see the grandparents, the parents, and the kids, and cousins, and uncles. Just something basic that you can have on your fridge or just anywhere at home. On the right-hand side, you see what it says "ini ikikuño," that internal body parts. And we thought that it was a good idea to also have a poster, like something small, symbol, that people that kind of know Mixteco, like myself, that sometimes I don't use it anymore, and I'm losing the tones, or I'm losing what it means. So we thought that would be something good to do. We also did the loteria. I don't know how many of you guys have played the loteria, which is really fun. We thought it would be a good idea to do the loteria too. So you have the loteria here, and then another game that we did was Ana Ku Ana, like who is who, for little kids that just like have someone like a parent play a game with them, so they will learn like just basic stuff about like animals too. It's describing colors and like if they have tails, no tails, what color they are, what kind of nose they make. Yeah, so that's. And here on the right-hand side, you can see the alphabet. I think at the bottom here, you can it explains the tones, like how high tones, mid tones, and I think that's low tone. I can't see that well, but it explains to you like the tones, and then here you see like sounds of the alphabet. We also had the opportunity to translate the whoops. So we were able to translate this story that's called Makun Oyu from Story Weaver. I think we had like 1 week to do it. It was a very quick job that we did. We thought it was a good idea to do it. We tried our best, but yeah, it's a really cool story to read in Mixteco. And the story in the bottom, it's about the coyote eating a chicken. I guess my parents had to go to work one day, and they left my brothers by themselves taking care of the animals, and they were supposed to, I guess, take care of the chickens. But I guess the coyote came and ate the chicken, and one of the chickens, they only ate the head of the chicken. So for not getting in trouble, they decided to just cook the chicken. But it's a little story that tells like how young kids, kind of like do stuff. The story here where it says escuela, this is the story, like kind of like my experience when I went to school, the first day of school. I think it was like after a month or two that I moved here that my older brother said, "Oh well, let's go to school and find out when can you start and what do you need to start." So we went, and I don't know. I thought I was gonna be like maybe home for maybe like another month or something to learn a little bit of Spanish, but we had to stay that same day. They're like, "Well, if you guys don't speak Spanish, then you can just go directly to English, an English class." So we had to stay that same day. And I'm like, I was very surprised because, I knew or I was used to listening to Spanish, but not English at all. So, yeah, it was just that first day that I had to go to school, start listening to English. I was very surprised. It was a shock for me, but yeah, it was hard, but yeah, eventually I managed to learn English. Yeah, here you will see one of the programs that we were using, Elon, to do the transcription and translate. You have it in Spanish and also in English, all the work that usually we'll start it in this program. So this is what we will start working, and then later on we will change it to another page, then add in pictures. Yeah, so we developed like different variety sources and range of different platforms. We started talking about how we can share all this material with the community and people that were interested in learning more about Mixteco. So we thought it would be a good idea to also share all this stuff through modern technology right now, through social media. And even though the community, like the indigenous community doesn't have a lot of access to internet, but we thought it would be a good, like for kids that are going to school and have the opportunity to do it. So we started working on stuff that we can share on social media. For example, here you can see this is a page that you will see on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So you have like here an example of Ya'a, which is Chile, and you have it in Spanish, English, and Mixteco as well. Yeah, so if you go to the Instagram page, this is what you will see. You type Ñuù Sàvi, and you will see these pictures, Spanish, English, and you have like the word of the day if you want to learn Mixteco. This is what you will see on Twitter, and this is what you will see on Facebook. So that's just a basic word, Ana, corazón. After having all that material, we also wanted to create like a web page to share it, and Guillem worked mostly on this page, and I was able to help here with the picture. This is Yucunani. It's a very small village, and if you see here, this is where the school is. Yeah, so that was where that's the school that I went like for first to third grade. Mostly people speaking Mixteco. If you wanted to go to the market, you had to like walk for 2 hours to go to the market, to the mercado. I think that's what they call it. But this is the little town. So in this page, you have access to all the materials that we have been working on. For example, you have the loteria here. If you wanted to, it explains, I think in Spanish and Mixteco too, like how to play it. And if you want to print this, you can do that. And if you're interested in learning Mixteco, they're pretty much basic words that you can learn. And we thought it would be a good idea to be able to share that with people, like for example, that Mixtecos that are living in other states of the country, or that are in other parts of other states as well in Mexico, that can have or wanted to print it. With all the materials and stuff that we have learned about Mixteco, we have presented a few. Here you can see pictures of presentations that we have done through Zoom, mainly because of the pandemic. So you can bridging community needs and linguistics research, and allomorphy in personal pronoun in Ñuù Sàvi. And I also had the opportunity to present in one of the class, Linguistics 187, with another of the students that we've been working with. Let me see. So we also work on this little game that we thought it would be a good idea, that since a lot of kids like to play video games, and we thought it would be a good idea to share like words in Mixteco or in English or in Spanish. So you will see a little video here. Give me 1 second. No sale el play. No. Oh, there you go. A ver, mover otra. No sé, because it shows como. Okay. So the idea here is that you have the Mixteco emblem, and it when you catch like something healthy, it gives you energy. And he pronounces the name of the item. So you have chū, chicken, and then the idea is also to talk about like health. So if you catch I think we have French fries. If you catch French fries, it takes away the energy. And if you catch like I think we have French fries and Coke, because back home a lot of people are suffering from diabetes because a lot of people consume Coke. So there's no education about health stuff. So we thought it would be a good idea to talk about that. But yeah, you can see the little emblem, the Mixteco emblem, glow when you catch healthy food. And I think this is just like a sketch. We hopefully in the future we can do a lot better background and better sound, better different words at different levels, and just explaining a little bit more about the culture. Yeah. And I think you can also have download this game in the Gaucho space if you guys want to and download it and share it with, I don't know, your little brothers or family. And with the we had the opportunity to start working with the COVID stuff. So one of the things that we started working here, I think the first one was this poster that it says, "Namas tucha coco e coronavirus." Let's not spread coronavirus. It just pretty basic stuff. We were able to print a few of these posters, and I was able to take it back home in Oaxaca to share with the community, and people thought it was a good idea. Yeah, so that was the first one that we started. After that, we started working more about the myths about coronavirus, and there's about like 24 different myths that we started working on. We thought it would be a good idea since a lot of people were doing translating all these myths about coronavirus in different languages. Here you can see an image of the myths that we translated. I think I have an example here. So the process that we started doing it was a literal translation, naturalization, consulting other translations, consulting other community members, and then polishing off. So, for example, in my case, it was probably a little bit easier than Griselda, who was the other consultant, because she started working on hers, probably by herself, without not having other varieties of Mixteco. But when we were working on mine, she was present, so she helped me a lot, kind of like saying, "Can you say it this way, or do you use this word?" Or that helped me a lot to just knowing that there's hearing a word that might sound different, but I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar." And then I started just searching in my head. "Oh, yeah, I have heard this word before. I mean, I don't use it anymore, but I have heard it before." So, so one of the community members that that I consulted is my sister Esperanza. She speaks Mixteco, Spanish, and English, and she's very well educated too in English. So that kind of made it easier to simplify stuff and just make it better for the community. So the original version was in Spanish. Here you can see the myth in Spanish. So it says, "Es posible recuperarse de la enfermedad por coronavirus. Contraer el nuevo coronavirus no significa que vaya a conservarlo de por vida." So you will see the translation there in English. But here, the first translation in Mixteco, it's really long. And after talking to my sister, we were able to say it in a shorter way, which was more effective, and that makes more sense. So it just says, "Basu naki kwe coronavirus ni kwe kunya kachanya de ni nakundo oniña." So that's pretty much the translation from Spanish. So Mixteco, it's not currently written. People are trying to write it. Everybody has their own way of writing it. But as of right now, it's not like there's no official alphabet that you can use to write Mixteco. So we thought it was a necessary way to write Mixteco, but doing it the right way. The tones, knowing the tones, learning about how such a small tone can change the meaning, especially with the COVID stuff. For example, here it says, in Mixteco, Ñuù kwe pneumonia va'i nu kwe coronavirus. So here the word, this one. So just by changing the tone, it means it's good or it's bad. So since we thought, well, it has to do with someone's health, we thought it was very important to indicate the tones. For example, here, if you say ba'i, so that means it's bad, and ba'i, that means it's good. So we thought, well, we need to make sure that we write in it the right way, but we also record it. So people that doesn't know how to read Mixteco, or that doesn't have that notion of like, oh, well, I want to know what does that mean? Like, oh, this word has a different tone and this one has a different tone. So we recorded that so people can actually, people that don't know how to read can also, my bad, can also go and listen to these minutes about COVID. So yeah, that was that's something a little bit difficult in Mixteco because of the tones. Sometimes it's challenged to after repeating it so many times. Like if you say ba'i, 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 you say so many times, your ears it gets confusing. So that was a big challenge. My motivation to get involved with Mixteco, back home we have this way of living, or it's philosophy, I should say. It's called Tequio. It's kind of like doing a community service. As a community member, you obligated to kind of like take care of the community, or to help the community. The idea is to just the well-being of the community. As a community member, what can you do to help other members? If they need help, just any way you can help. So for me, speaking Spanish and English, and since I like language, I started getting into Mixteco, and I started working with the linguistic students, and I thought, well, I don't want to just do it because I want to learn about my Mixteco, but I want to do it and share materials with people that wanted to learn more about the language, and also be able to have these available to the community. And with that, it has given me good opportunities. About a week or two, we had the opportunity to have a workshop. Here you see a picture of me with Guillem and another Mixteco speaker. She works in the Santa Maria High School district in Santa Maria. She's a very good Mixteco speaker as well. So we came together to work on this workshop. Just helping other interpreters or translators that wanted to get into a language, and what like words would be more effective to use when you're translating to someone, or when they have to go to a doctor, or they need to just learn about the rights or stuff like that. Just any problems that they will face. We thought it was necessary to share like different variants, and that might help people to learn a better way to translate. So in this workshop, we had like 10 participants, 9 different variants of Ñuù Sàvi, and we thought it would be a good idea to do a glossary and also record this so people can practice it. And we planning to have like a little booklet or little cheat sheet that people can use when they go and translate for other people. So that will make it more effective. Speaking Ñuù Sàvi, Mixteco, has given me a lot of good opportunities. I was able to work for Food and Water Action. I think I worked there for like 3 years. And speaking Mixteco, it gave me, you can see a picture of me saying no more fracking. We went to different hearings talking about why is it important to have all this information available to the community. So I don't know how many of you guys have been to up north, which Santa Maria is located about an hour away from here up north. There's a little town called Los Alamos where you have Cat Canyon. About 3 years ago, there were like 3 main oil companies that wanted to get a project passed that it was planning to open all these oil wells, but they were going to consume a lot of water and use a lot of chemicals. So since Santa Maria, like Santa Maria, Guadalupe, and all other towns that are close there, they use a lot of water, and it depends on agriculture. So as an indigenous, I thought it was necessary to share that info with the community, and not only Spanish but also in Mixteco. So I got involved, and I thought it was a great experience, and hopefully in the future I can do more about environmental issues, using Mixteco and just informing about indigenous community, why it's so important to keep talking about environmental issues. Now I work with MyCop, the Mixteco Indígena Community Organizing Project. It's a nonprofit that started in Oxnard, helping indigenous people just learning about their rights and stuff that they need help with. So I work as a labor advocacy organizer, mainly focusing on wage theft. So a lot of people that don't speak Spanish, they suffer from a lot from wage theft. So they will work from someone, and since they don't know how to speak Spanish or they don't know where to get help, usually they will just try to avoid them. Like, oh, I don't have your check right now. Can you come back in a week? Can you talk to someone else? Can you go talk to the supervisor? So they would just have them be annoying and just forget about their money. So a lot of people have been suffering wage theft. So that's kind of like my job that I do with MyCop. Here you can see a picture. I was talking to someone about his rights and what can he do to how can he identify wage theft and what he can do to avoid that. And yeah, so it's mainly I talk to the communities in Mixteco, Spanish, a little bit of English, but mainly would be Mixteco speakers and Spanish speakers. So people that suffer more wage theft would be mainly people that don't know Spanish at all. And a lot of times people will come to me and we will start a case and we have to submit it through the Department of Industrial Relations. So that's we work close with the different departments that help people to get their rights. When I was growing up, I never thought I would be using Mixteco or Ñuù Sàvi. My parents never really said, hey, like continue using it, or kind of like creating that consciousness about, hey, you need to maintain your language. It was mainly like my choice and my when I learned that my brother was learning more about my language, I thought it was a great idea to continue doing something about it and keeping the language too. So in Santa Maria, like right now, if you speak Mixteco, it's one of the assets that you can use to get a job. So a lot of people that are going to college or at least have like a high school diploma, just speaking Mixteco, speaking Spanish, it's a good way to get a job. Let me see. So here is a quote from one of the language consultants that worked with the students as well. She said, why is it important to get involved with community needs? So the community feels seen and valued. In this case, many of the essential workers were indigenous people risking their lives in the field so that we can all have food. And they had little access to information, a lot of rumors, misinformation, untruthful accounts. To make sure that information reaches the community, we must make the information available in language that speaks directly to them. So that's kind of like one of the reasons that we as a Mixteco speaker, we started getting involved. I mean, probably we can go to other fields, but I think like working with the community, it's a different experience. Oh, my bad. So that was one of the codes that I mentioned. This other one is the one from Griselda. My bad. We need to understand the barriers that the people we work with encounters when trying to access services that others get easy access to. Indigenous communities have to do double or triple the work to get access to those services, and language is one of the reasons for this. It is important that we know the needs of the community that we work with so we can understand their situation and be helpful when looking for solutions together. So this is from Griselda. The other one was from my words when I started working with Mixteco. And before I close, I just wanted to share another quote from Antonio Machado. Caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar se hace camino y al volver la vista atrás se ve la senda que nunca se ha de volver a pisar. And I like this quote. I didn't think that I would have jobs that I would be able to use Mixteco as an asset to get a job. So now that I'm working more in Mixteco, it has helped a lot of other Mixteco speakers get a job. So when I started this road, I never thought I will have opportunities such as like experience like this right now to speak with students that are learning about language and the community issues. So with that, I just wanted to conclude and say tatsabi gwani nyachasoni. Thank you for listening. That's a short presentation of me and the community that I come from. And I just wanted to share that with you. And if you have any questions, if you wanted to also donate, we have a GoFundMe. I think it's available at Gaucho Space. So we can print more materials for younger generations. And yeah, that concludes my presentation. If you guys have any questions.